So with bar chords, I wanted to see if I could give you an idea. I don't have a pick down here, but we'll make something work here. How about a ground tag? Um, I tend to keep my elbow tucked in to my rib cage. When I go down, my arm kind of extends that way, but I don't necessarily lift my arm up that way. So whether it's any difference or not, I don't know, but I definitely tend to have not a whole lot of space in there. That's kind of pulling that way. Yeah, I'm on electric. It's nighttime, and if I pull out the acoustic, it'll be a little too loud. But I did double check with my thumb not on there, and I don't know if you can hear it, but it's still ringing through. With a little bit of force. So if you're really trying to squish the fretboard, maybe that's working too hard. But if I lifted my elbow out, I found it very difficult to get my hands to do anything. So I think definitely with the elbow in, then it's easier to curl than, these fingers don't want to go that way. Maybe other people have worked out their muscles and stretches and stuff to be, like that, but that hurts my wrist. And it puts a lot of tension there, and my shoulder actually aches a little bit doing it that way. So with your elbow in, my thumb is facing up the neck. It's not around. It's not centered and pointing, up towards my face. It's pointing up towards the headstock, and that gives me my force. When I do a bar chord, it comes in a little bit compared to typically when I'm playing, I'd be, the way I'm not supposed to be. There's a G chord, and you can see my thumb hanging out there. There's a D chord, a C chord. I tend to use my palm there. I'm not much of a getting my thumb on there like I'm supposed to sort of play it. But bar chords, I tend to press with right around the knuckle, not necessarily the face of the thumb, but I press with right around the knuckle. And it's got a little bit of a twist to it. And then the proximity to the fret, I mean, you can just barely see the fret there, right? That pointy finger is going to be right close. And then my weaker fingers, not my middle, but my pinky is going to be as close to that fret as it can be. The ring finger, really doesn't have any trouble pushing down, neither does the middle. So wherever they land doesn't much matter because you'll have the strength in those. But if you're involving the pinky finger, well, that's a different story. That's a weak finger. The other thing is that whatever bar chord you're playing, at least if it's a 3-finger involved bar chord, so whether it's an E, an A minor, I'll play it this way just for this, an A, you don't need to worry about those strings as far as pointy finger pressure goes, because they're obviously pushed with those. You're talking about placement and getting them to ring. Don't know what I can do to try to show you placement to see if anything that I'm doing is different than what you're doing. I know people play that A with different patterns of the finger. If I were doing them, I would definitely do them like that because it's is similar to that, which is how I'd play an A down here. I want one finger occupying the space in the back, and then I can slide that finger right over the top of it. Same thing if I'm doing a bar chord, I can slide that finger right over the top of it and make some room in that space that we're allotted to get those fingers down. But I never play a bar chord with an A like that. I can't think of any song that needs such intense note attention that I can't, just do that. And you can see my middle finger goes down onto my pointy finger just to help it when I'm doing, that sort of chord without any issue at all. I'm less stable on some of the E minor is fine, but E minor 7, it takes me a minute to get used to playing them again because they don't come around everywhere. And the A7 and the A minor 7. A minor 7 is probably stronger than the A7 because I don't do a whole lot of, A7 forms. But see if your elbow is in against your side there and double check where your thumb's at. And I'm trying to figure out, I feel a little bit of strain, I suppose, in my thumb muscles, but I'm kind of holding in a same position, trying to figure things out and what I'm doing. But especially on an electric, it's not a lot of pressure. I'd be curious if some of your muting goes away when you play your electric, then that would be a pressure issue because, right, those are super easy strings to push down. And then spacing, part of it is because I think that you're pushing so hard that you're actually fattening out your fingers because you're pushing, down so hard on them. And once you figure out the lesser amount of pressure that it takes to make your note, I think you'll have less fat finger hitting the other strings because you're not squeezing so hard that you're mushrooming out the bottom of your fingertip. Check your knuckles to make sure that they're bent and that they're not like that. If they're like that, then you're going to be all over mushing the strings. They should be, a comfortable curve, just like all of your other chords. You don't force any of those knuckles to be bent or to be straight, right? You leave those bent. So make sure they've still got the nice curve in them to reach over to the strings. And like on that A minor, I'm grabbing, I'll leave it there for a second. I'm grabbing with way over here with the string, right? So when my finger's down, I'm actually rocking it towards the back side of it. So it's not taking the blunt fat part of the finger because then that kills that E string undoubtedly. But when I rock it back, then I can grab a little bit bonier part of my finger there and get my chord on there. That would be a C as a bar chord. That one, right, is no fun. And I certainly can't just slide it along. That's in some song I was, just so that you see it, the hell will we, that's right, so that it's all right now there. We'll put it at the end of this and I'll make a better video, but at least it'll be something interesting. That's kind of a hard A. It's a whole chord. That E string's not going to matter because you're going to squish that out. Then you're throwing in, it's actually the beginning of the C, or it could be considered a minor 7. but you're moving up to basically a B. So you're going from an A to a B7, back to the A. You're playing a C chord, all strings. You're just playing a regular C chord at the 3rd fret. Whoop. So anyhow, there's more to that, and I'll play it cleaner and such. But yeah, tuck your elbow in, curve your fingers, check your thumb pointing towards the headstock a little bit. Not that way, but it's a bit more like that. It's definitely not pointing up in the air. And see if that helps with wrist angle. And the curve of the fingers giving you a little bit more clearance to get into the strings. And then lighten your touch a little bit and see if you can get the strings to ring out that your fingers are on, and some of the meat out of the way that's using the strings next to it.